What is up, guys? This is Tcg Sam here, and in today's video I'm coming at you guys with my 8-0 undefeated virtual world deck profile that I took to 2 locals, went 4-0 at both of them, got first place. And I just thought I wanted to show off my deck list. You may or may not have already seen me talk about this deck in my recent locals vlog, so if you haven't checked that out already, be sure to do so. And one more thing, if you like this type of content, be sure to let me know by leaving a like, commenting, subscribing, because it really helps keep me motivated and really helps the channel out. If you guys want to see something like test hands or combo tutorial for this new build, then definitely let me know in the comments below and I will consider making one. But yeah, with that being said, why don't we hop straight into it. So, starting off with the main deck, 3 Lulu, 3 Gigi, 3 Lily, 3 Lala. It's non-negotiable, you have to play, obviously you have to play 3 of every single name. Yeah, if you just see one, honestly, plus something like decent to target, you're just able to get to like the rest of them, so really good. Double Nyan, very standard. I played 2-2, this is less standard, but 2-2 came up many times for me as a very powerful extender. Like, you're able to discard like names that have been negated. For example, if your opponent like ashes one of your names, later on, you're able to send like 2-2 to the graveyard instead of like Nyan, because Nyan essentially only gets value in the grave if you're able to summon at level 3, but like for example, if like your only names left are like the level 6s and you have no way to like summon level 3, this is very powerful to let you be able to extend, keep extending. You're also able to discard Gamma, which I do play in the deck, just as an extra extender. That it came up many times for me, so I definitely could recommend you guys at least consider playing this in your deck. It's really good. And then next I play the Gamma engine. This is the only hand trap I play, and if things were more optimal, I actually wouldn't be playing this at all. These would be triple 3 talents and 1 copy of Foolish Burial Goods, just for more consistency instead of the Gamma, because Gamma, like once you're past your first name, you're not able to do anything if your opponent hand traps you. And unfortunately, that was the case for me many times. Like I had a Gamma, but my opponent just didn't hand trap me on the first name, and then Gamma was just kind of dead for the rest of it. But whereas Talents would have been really good to draw 2 cards or look at my opponent's hand. So definitely, I play Talents and Goods over this if I did have it. But if you don't have that and you're more budget conscious, you can go with the Gamma engine. It works just as well. Like I said, you're also able to discard it for 2-2, so that makes 2-2 a little better in this deck. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, 3 copies of Kowloon, 3 copies of King Long, very standard, nothing to say here. All of these, even like seeing King Long is really good because it just gives you a name that you're able to target without committing a normal summon to the board, and that's really strong. 3 Pot of Desires, you need the card advantage, so definitely going with Desires as opposed to Prosperity. Double E-Telly, 2 E-Telly is very strong. It's probably one of the best like extenders in this deck, because the biggest weakness of this deck is having your normal summon removed and having nothing left to target, and E-Telly kind of just fixes that problem. So Emergency Teleport, very powerful card. Definitely glad it's at 2 now. 2 Foolish Burial Goods. This is just for consistency, and there was one time where it let me send Sean Wu to keep playing, but other than that, like every time I saw it, like it was either really good to be able to start my plays with King Long, or even if I already was able to play, I could just discard this or set this off as Zulkin. Call by the Grave, I would consider putting a 3rd Foolish Burial Goods over the Call by, just for extra consistency, because you just don't want to break with this deck. The only times I feel like I lose is when I break. Going second, it's possible to break opponents' boards, and going first, like your boards are pretty hard to get rid of, so I definitely just consider cutting Call by for an extra Foolish Burial Goods now that I look back at it. Call by just never really came up for me, but the extra Foolish Burial Goods I feel like would have added extra consistency. 1 Upstart Goblin for the consistency to play 39 cards. And then I main deck 3 Dark Ruler. This is my going second card, and this is why I don't play hand traps. This is a very strong card against pretty much every single combo deck, and even if you're trading like 1-for-1 with like a Mechaba or something, it's still not that bad because it acts in that case as an imperm, whereas for example against like a Drytron, it'll be a huge blow. It'll actually let you have a chance to play. You just have to play through the 2 orange lights, whereas normally like you just not be able to play at all. So triple Dark Ruler no more. I definitely prefer this over like hand traps, just because you don't have to draw this like in your opening hand. You can draw into it later in the turn, or you can draw it as your 6th card and you're still able to use it. And depth 1 should just be more than enough to stop most decks, as opposed to like a single Ash Blossom or Imper may not be enough to stop some decks. So that's why This is a hand trapless build. I'm focusing more on consistency as opposed to playing hand traps. So I decided this was necessary because otherwise I'd have no going second cards at all, and you just auto lose to like, you just auto lose going second. I don't really want that. So Dark Ruler No More kind of fills the void that like the hand traps left. Definitely think Dark Ruler should be considered in this deck. Doesn't matter if you can't do damage, you should just be winning after that anyways. For the traps, double Chuche, double single Zhangwu. Nothing to say here, very standard. That is 40 cards in the main, 39 with Upstart. Like I said, you want to maximize consistency with this deck because the only times you lose are when you break. For the extra deck, one copy of Shen, obviously very standard. Vermilion Dragon Mech, this is also really good. Stellar Windwolf is something I've been testing, and I honestly only like summoned it once, and even then it just got outed really quickly. So to be honest, I would consider just playing Croc over this. Croc lets you draw additional extenders, or Croc lets you draw to your side cards like Lancia or Different Dimension Ground, and that's very, very important for post games 2 and 3. Just because like your opponent might set something like Dark Ruler against you, and even if it like negates Croc, you had a chance to draw into those like cards that weren't like monsters on the board. So to be honest, I'd probably just play Croc. Croc is also really good because if you just have a fat hand full of like useless cards, it becomes a pop one, and like if you have 2 spot removals plus a Shen, like honestly that's actually really hard for a lot of decks to break. Like Tri Brigades only have their normal and 1 Chaos Extender, so like you can just completely shut off their turn. So I definitely consider Ravenous Croc Dragon over this. This wasn't terrible, but honestly I don't think it was like the best thing for me to play in that slot. For the 6s, 1 Juju, definitely I see a lot of people cutting this, but you definitely have to play this. This card came up for me so many times. It's absolutely like incredible. The fact that you're just able to spot remove something and then climb up into another XYZ to spot remove, like it's just actually insane. And it's a name for you to target, of course. Coral, Charge Warrior, the most standard level 6s. The draw synchros, these are very, very powerful. 1 Zolkin, 1 Crystal Wing. I don't play the Mud Dragon package. That's the other thing that might not be standard about this. I really don't like the Mud Dragon package just because, like I said, it causes you to lose harder to Dark Ruler No More, and it takes up a lot of your resources. A lot of the times, if your hand isn't like the absolute nuts, you're pretty much only gonna be able to make the Crystal Wing plus the fusion, whatever, be it Dragoon or Caliga or whatever. And I just don't think that's worth it. I'd rather have the Shen as a follow-up, even though Shen, like you can argue, isn't as good of a floodgate as the others. I'd still prefer the follow-up that Shen gives you, as opposed to this. Also, important to know, you can't always assume your Zolkin like will resolve. A lot of times, people will have Veiler and Imperm in their main deck, and of course that's just completely dead against your names. So the only time they can use it is on Zolkin. So a lot of the times you can't even expect your Zolkin to resolve, and if you're only making a Mud Dragon and Zolkin into something like a Caliga, that's just really, really weak. It's not good enough. So that's why I decided not to commit too hard into that package. I just definitely rather just make a Shen. Even if it gets like Impermed or something, that's totally fine, because Shen gives me a very, very strong follow-up. That's it for the Synchros. For the XYZs, 1 Breaksword. Breaksword, very strong spot removal. I definitely keep this in. I was testing Fortune Tune. Fortune Tune, I didn't really make a single time for its like actual intended effect. A lot of the times I was just like, oh, I have a rank 3, I want to make Zeus, I'll throw away this rank 3 and keep this as utility. So I never really got to use Fortune Tune like for its actual purpose, and to be honest, I don't think you need it. I was just testing it out, and I guess through testing I found that I didn't need it. So I'd probably play something like Bamboozling Gossip Shadow in this slot instead. Gossip Shadow can act as a pseudo negation going first, and that's okay. Or going second, you can slap it on your board and it kind of trades 1-for-1 with your opponent's monster negates. So I definitely play that over this. Fortunately, just didn't come up for me. But the rank 6s on the other hand were a different story. I made every single one of these guys many times, and they were all very, very strong. I think you actually do have to play all 3 of these. I know a lot of people only just play Fan M7, so I'm not going to explain those, but Utopia Beyond is very, very powerful because it lets you just OTK your opponent out of nowhere. A lot of the times this deck has had an issue OTKing through an established board, even through like small monsters like the Salamander Great monsters, which are like 1800. It's just a hard time doing the AK damage just because we don't have something like Borosword or Axis Skill Talker. And Utopia Beyond is very strong for that, because even if we don't have Stardust Charge Warrior to swing over everything, Utopia Beyond plus like a few other XYZs or Synchros that you may have made to like remove stuff should just be enough for game. Utopia Beyond also very important to out Dragoon, because otherwise your deck doesn't have like the easiest out Tcg, it's either that or Crystal Wing, but Crystal Wing is a lot harder to make, so Utopia Beyond, Alex Dragoon. And then on top of that, since I play Gaia Dragon, which I definitely think you should, it gives it an extra material for Zeus. So once you use this effect, you slap this on top, and then you have a 4 material Zeus. So it's a very, very strong way to utilize Zeus. Fan, this is also needed for Fan because if I have to detach Shoot a Band or something, then I can slap Zeus on Gaia Dragon on top, and then put a Zeus on top. So that just gives me a 2 material Zeus, which is obviously the minimum. M7, very, very good at adding back resources. I used this many times going first. I would actually just make this and add resources back to my hand. Like, I would send a GG from my deck to the grave to add it back to my hand, summon it onto the board, and then GG end phase add something back just to get this extra Ptolemy M7 on board, because this is also a threat to your opponent if they don't clear it, because they can just bounce one of their monsters or add back one of your names. And then finally, no surprise, the 15th card is Zeus. Very, very powerful card, no explanation needed there. So that's it for the extra deck. For the side deck, I was also testing some stuff in here, so it may not be the most optimal one, but the thing I definitely think you want this format is Artifact Lancia. This is pretty much the only other hand trap I'm playing other than Gamma, just because it has kind of a blanket type of effect. It has the potential to just shut off an opponent's turn completely, versus something like Tri-Brigades, versus the Mirror. Lancia is definitely something that you want. You can also add it back with Ptolemy M7, so you can keep recycling it again and again. This is something I was testing, Pancratops and 3 alphas. My theory behind this was games 2 and 3, we're going to enter a lot of simplified game states where opponents going to have to throw a lot of hand traps at me, or they're going to like Lancia me or something. I'm just not able to play the game that I want to. Alpha and Pancratops helps you control, put the game back in your favor by clearing out problematic monsters and sticking a very big threat on the board. I was thinking Alpha going second can also trade very well with like negations, and since you can summon it multiple times, you can like bounce something, attempt to swing over something, and that essentially trades with like 2 cards, and then you're just able to play after that. Same thing with Pancratops obviously, but Pancratops can be a disruption after you summon it too, so which is really strong. But overall, this came up like once or twice. I didn't really side it in too much, but when I did see it, it was pretty decent, so something to consider if you want in this deck. For the back row removal, I played 3 Twin, 1 Cosmic, 1 Dusters. It's gonna seem like really weird ratio, but I had like 14 cards with like these, so I just threw an extra Cosmic just for the extra back row removal. But I think 5 back row removal cards plus 6 in Pancratops is not bad. I definitely think this is more than adequate. Against back row decks, you're only really scared of things like Judgment and stuff, and of course Revolt, so you want to put these in against those. And then finally, Different Dimension Ground. This won me my last match against Tri-Brigade. This is just a huge blowout against most combo decks. Even against something like a mid-range deck like Dogmatic Invoke Shaddoll, it can still have many applications, making their like Shaddoll Fusion get a lot less value, making their Nadir Serpent get a lot less value, so on and so forth. And of course, Different Dimension Ground doesn't really affect you. The only bad thing about this is like if they kill your Shinshin gets banished, but like it could be worse. It should just hurt your opponent a lot more, because this can essentially just skip your opponent's turn. Regardless if they have like Lightning Storm to clear your back row or Twin or something, you can just chain this, and that's why I really like this card. So yeah, 15 card side deck, of course. That's gonna do it for the deck profile. Let me know what you guys thought of it. I hope I was able to go a little bit in depth and explain some of my card choices. If you guys like this type of content, be sure to let me know by leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.